This tutorial will introduce you to the selection pane in the Penna paint package. The selection pane allows you to do four things in Penna. First, it allows you to define areas that you can only paint within. The second thing it allows you to do is generate text. The third thing is cut and paste. And the fourth thing is generating intelligent canvases. We will be covering the first three in this tutorial. The fourth, Intelligent Canvases, is covered in its own tutorial. The selection pane icon is this mask with the dotted rectangle around it. And another icon that is used with it is this green mask below. To open the selection pane, simply tap the top icon. To close it, tap it again. Or to close it, open any other pane. Or you can also close it by tapping on the move arrows. When the selection pane is open, the pane itself appears below or above the control pane wherever it can fit, and we also have what we call the rubber pane that appears somewhere on the page. The rubber pane can be moved by using the arrows to move it up and out of the way or put it in a convenient location on the screen. This rubber pane will automatically disappear when the selection pane is closed, automatically reappear when it's open again. The basic premise of the selection pane is to use various controls to tell Penna what areas of the screen are okay for drawing on. For example, we could use this icon here, which is a rectangle, and specify an area. I tapped, held, and dragged, and this will be an area that I can now tell Penna that we want to do something special with. We can move this around and resize it and do all sorts of things. How that's accomplished is by this rubber pane. This icon up here is telling us that we can move and resize it, whereas this icon is telling us that we can rotate it. Rotate or move and resize. You'll notice that there's little markers in the rubber banding line, a yellow, white, purple, and cyan with a green marker in the middle. These correspond to these anchors: yellow, yellow, white, white, cyan, cyan, and purple, purple. The anchors tell Penna which of these sides should never change when modifying the sides. When all of them turned on, the size never changes and you're actually moving the object. If we were to turn off the purple anchor, this bottom is no longer anchored, and now it is allowed to move. The others will stay exactly as they are. Again, if we leave that one off and turn off the cyan one, now this corner is allowed to move, and the upper left corner will stay exactly as it is. Turning all of the anchors off allows the object to be freely resized in all of the orientations. We can easily turn them all on or all off by doing what I just did there, or by using this X in the middle. X in the middle, we can say turn all anchors off, turn all anchors on, or invert all anchors. For example, if we have the purple anchor off but all the others on, and we say invert all anchors, then the purple will now be on and the other three will be off, allowing us to adjust the top and right hand sides. Likewise, turn all anchors on turns them all on very quickly. We can also clear our transformation, or we can clear our transformation in our path. The transformation is rotation information, but by clearing the path, we can now place a brand new square wherever we want to. Again, clear path and transformation, and start a brand new square. We also have the ability to do the same thing with a circle, and you'll notice that square and circle share the same path, and all the controls work identically. Again, we can tell it which part to anchor, we can move it about, do any of the other things that we did. We can rotate it. Let's make it a little thinner so that we can see the rotation. Rotate. And again, you can see if we say clear the transform, rotation is cleared, is back to 0. Now, how do we actually use these to specify where we can and cannot paint? Just by placing this circle does nothing. What we need to do is we need to instruct Penna that that's indeed a place that we want to paint in, and we use that by doing the green plus sign. Tapping it, and you'll now see the inside of this circle has turned to green. I can move this circle to another location, add it again, move it to another location, turn it into a square, and add it again. We can also do the opposite. We could move this to another location, and by using the red subtract, tell it to take out the ability to paint in those areas. Or the green to put it back in. Likewise, we can use the mask icon here, which is half white and half black, to invert the selected area. Whatever was selected no longer is, and whatever wasn't now is. We can also use the green dot to freehand paint. Our current brush is used, the current brush size. If we go change our brush, let's make it a small circle. Go back into the selection pane. Again, we can freehand paint. Or we could use the red dot to freehand paint and remove. Now, how do we use this in actual painting? When we're done selecting the areas that we're interested in, we can turn off the selection pane. Right now, if we're going to try to paint, we can paint anywhere. We're not being refused painting at any place on the screen. Let's clear that out. So how do we get to use these selected areas that we say we only want to paint within? This icon here tells us to do that. By turning this on, we're saying we now want to use those areas. And as I paint, you'll see that now I'm only painting within those regions. Painting is being inhibited everywhere outside of those regions. The selection pane can be cleared, so you can make a new selection area simply by using this red X, tapping it, and say clear all selected areas. We can also invert it, and if I want to make everything that I couldn't paint on now paintable and vice versa, I would invert the entire screen, and I can select the entire screen as well. I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen of what we painted, but our selection areas are still there. You'll notice the selection area is always shown to you in green. This icon over here allows us to change that. Let's say you're painting on a green canvas. That would be very difficult to see your selected areas. You can come here and change the color to anything you want, and now the selected areas will be shown in that color. We'll go back to our green. Notice that the color we pick is always shown to be partially transparent. So if we are doing selected areas, we can see what's underneath it. The alpha of this, while you can change it in the color picker, will never change. If I turn the alpha all the way off or all the way up to full, even though I leave this, it will still be set at a partial alpha value. Let's load a texture in here. Let's see what we have in our program. Let's turn on a texture. We're not going to use our mask. We want it to go over the entire screen. And we will go back to our selection pane so that we can see how you can see the transparency of that selected area. And again, we can change that to a different color. That might be easier for us to use. Let's go ahead and clear out our selections so that we're working with a completely new canvas. We'll go ahead and clear our picture out, and let's look at the text capability. The text capability allows you to pick any of the hundreds of fonts that come with the iPad. You can select a size. We'll pick a very large size, 400, and let's put some text on there. Let's say to do the word penna. We're done. And back into the selection pane. And again, we can move these. You can distort just as before. You don't get the rubber banding box, but distortion works as before. But really, you shouldn't use this to make the text larger or smaller. What you should do is render the text at the size you want. It'll be cleaner and crisper done that way. If you distort it using the rubber box, text will tend to pixelate if it gets bigger. Once we've placed the text we want on the screen, we then just simply use the plus to mark the fact that that text should be the selected area. Let's tell the system to turn off the selection pane. We're going to use it, and we're going to paint the surface. And now our Arches National Park texture has filled only the text, the words Penna. Again, if we turn on our 4-color gradient, turn off the texture and try to paint, we're not able to paint anywhere except in those letters. So that gives you the capability of adding text to your screen. Text can be rotated. Let's show that. Repositioned, repainted. Very, very simply. Let's go back to our texture. Again, we will paint the entire screen with it. And let's take a look at using the magic wand. The magic wand icon allows us to pick areas of the screen that have common colors. I can pick inside the arches, and it automatically found the entire whole. I can pick out here, and it will find things that tend to match that color. If we tap again on this, we can set the tolerance. We can set the tolerance way up and try to tap, and we see we get a much larger area. Now we've selected all of the red rock. Again, I'll tell it that we want to use that to paint in. Come here and turn on our 4-color gradient, and we are only painting in that region. I have to tell it to use. Always remember to use this. It won't do it unless you specify that. And there you can see that we're painting inside this area, but never outside of it onto the clouds. Let's go back and place our texture on the screen again. And back into the texture pane, we'll show you the last thing, which is cut and paste. To use cut and paste, again, we'll select what area we're interested in. I'll pick, let's take our tolerance back down to its default. And again, I'll pick in the center. About 0.3. There we go. And we'll come here, and this is our copy and paste icon. Tap that, and it says no selected area. That's because we've only made the rubber box, but we have to say make that the selected area. Again, tap copy and paste, and we now have the area we just selected. We're able to rotate it, we're able to move it, we're able to resize it, and we're able to paste it. To paste it, simply tap the copy paste icon again, and you have the ability to paste the existing area, copy the selected area, or clear the copy and paste buffer. We'll paste the existing area, move, oops, resizing. Let's turn our anchor back on, move it to a new location, copy selected area. Now, because we copied that selected area again, let's move. It went back to the original because remember, this was the selected area, so it ignored our moving placement of it because we had said copy selected area. And again, it's not where we moved it to, it's our original area that was copied. Again, we can come here and say paste, move it, paste, and that's how copy paste works. And that's the end of the tutorial on how to use the selection pane in Penna.